Hello everybody, welcome to a video update of life. I've come back a different person. Right, I'm making this video edit proof. You see the clock, so that's another story which I'm going to talk about maybe on another video. It's important to make what you say edit proof, and that's one way of doing it. A digital clock would be better. So I'm back. I've come back. Apparently, an elitist, white supremacist, far right, whatever the great British press have decided to label various sections of society. I know I'm that because the great British press have told me that because I have a Union flag. There you go. Also have an American flag, a French flag, a German flag, a Ukrainian flag. Having the Ukrainian flag makes me something else as well now, and I'm not sure what that is. Oh, also the American flag makes me something else. I've got a Nottinghamshire flag. I haven't got a Chinese flag. So I've got various flags from around the world, being English, British. I'm English, born in England. That is a country. So I'm now a far right, white, supremacist, whatever, according to the great British press. How shallow are we? Anyway, that aside, the great British press are currently outside because we're having a shower. Anyway, that's my little rant over about what I've come back to, or how I've come back, and I've come back a different person. News is, house is back up for sale. News is, partly because of the great British press, and why I've mentioned the great British press, my criteria for where I want to live has very much changed. I don't want to live city centre, city based anymore. So thankfully nothing happened a year ago, because that is now where I don't want to be. So I want to move into a village, a small town. I need countrywide rail connection local to me. I need local public transport connections. I need somewhere to ride my bicycle. I need bike infrastructure. So places like Kings Lynn, it's still very much on the cards. Maybe Sleaford, Spalding, Melton Mowbray, Grantham, Retford. Don't think I want to go any further north than Retford because it gets colder. So, and it needs to be flattish. So places like Matlock and Bakewell are out of the question, although I certainly have looked at places like that. And Sheffield's out of the question. Again, that's probably a little bit too far north. Around Derby, possibly. Derby is a town, or a city is really too big for where I want to be. Nottingham's a too large a metropolis, shall we call them. I don't want to be there either now, or on the perimeters of. Where I am now is probably the size of town I would like, but this certainly isn't a flat town. And that's an age thing, you have to consider that. So moving out is very much on the cards. I've looked all around the country from south coast, up the east coast, Lincolnshire, Norfolk. It seems to be an abundance of choice. When I was looking a year ago, the choice wasn't that great, so I don't know what's changed. Anyway, this is up for sale. I've had a rant about the great British press. Another reason I had a rant about the great British press, this should be a separate video, but it's not going to be because I'm talking. I was once interviewed by the BBC, Politics for Today, a Sunday programme. It's about when 6 of us took Mansfield District Council to the High Court. Mansfield District Council, then a independent council, independent of decision making individually, independent of responsibility, independent of control, independent of anything or anything, should you ask them a question that they didn't like. The stock answer was always, the forum decided. The forum is the independent forum. I just always took that as independence of responsibility. So these people at the council make these, at one time, councillors used to go to a chapel or a building that was being built, and there'd be a foundation stone, and it would say on this stone was laid by Councillor J. Oakes, 1837, MBE, blah, 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 councillor, blah, 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 mayor, whatever. And that's used to satisfy them, but we live in a time now where they don't have foundation stones with people's name anymore. So it seems to me that all councillors can do is come along and screw something up and do some damage and put their name on it because they believe they're doing good. Got to be Mansfield still, screwing over the marketplace, screwing over the market traders, all in the good of, all in their name. We've had this levelling up fund, which I guess we'll never see anything of. Anyway, that's another political thing. What I want to talk about is being interviewed by BBC Politics Today over the Mansfield Town cycling ban, which was one of these things the councillors did. They sat there deciding that at 1 o'clock in the morning, if you ride your bicycle home from a late night shift or late afternoon shift at work, you were breaking the law. It was a criminal offence and you would have a criminal prosecution against you. So that's what we fought back. That's what we fought, and we got a resolution that was. We got a resolution. Basically, you can go to work early, come back from work late on a push bike through Mansfield. But I was interviewed by BBC Politics Today. This is where the clock comes in, because I was interviewed. These guys came from the BBC and they must have been with us in Mansfield Marketplace for the best part of an hour, hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours. And they calm you down and you're very calm and you say, right, just all you got to do, just loosen up. Just stand there. Don't move. Just stand there straight. Just look directly at the camera, not at me. And I'll ask you a few questions and just give you your answers. And away you go. So you stand there like this, and if you think you could now chop this video about and make anything you wanted about it, because there's no time scale, there's nothing to show real time. So I had this interview with Politics Today, and when it came to air on television, I looked like a right plonker. And many of you would say, well, Andrew, yes, you are a right plonker. And, well, I think you're probably right. But yes, on this interview, on the news report on the Sunday afternoon, I look like a total knob. Because of the editing. And a mistake I made was at some point I was asked a direct question and I either answered yes or no. If they've got a yes or a no, you want to see where they put it. It should have gone up their arse. Anyway, so if ever you get interviewed by the BBC or any news organisation, you've got to create a situation where they cannot re-edit what you're saying without showing a discrepancy in the flow. So you stood there, you're told to stand there, just perfectly straight, and we'll film you, don't move. So when you move, when you answer a question, it's important that you do something. Put some glasses on, put a hat on, take your hat off, put your hat under that arm, put your hat under that arm. Just gentle flows as you speak. Just put your arm like this and you leave it there till the next question. And when the next questions come and you're answering the question, you can move to it, you can swap it over for that one or something else. Or you can, I would head at a different angle for this question. And when it comes to the next question, whilst you're giving the answer, you can, as you speak, you can go like that. And if your head isn't in that position, the next time you answer their question, the continuity is gone. They can't edit it. If they ask you something you really don't want to answer, and you're backed in, and you will be backed into a corner. I was backed into a corner to give a yes and to give a no answer, which they then could then edit to whatever they wanted, and they did. If you're backed into a corner, you've got to use the F word. And effing yes, effing no. They can't use that because they can't put that news out on the news report. So that's my little update. That's my little rant about being whatever I am in the country, because that's what that's what the great British press have decided that we are going to be. And it's not me being a white supremacist, nationalist, far right load of, because whatever you are, colour, creed, race or anything, you will be something. I don't give a monkey shit what you are, who you are or anything. Unfortunately, the great British press are deciding that's what we have to be. So it isn't the government's fault. And it isn't the government's fault, but it probably is, because the government could rein them in. It isn't the King's fault. It isn't Maggie's fault. It isn't Brexit's fault. It isn't Genghis Khan's fault. It isn't the other bloke in Europe who had a slight disagreement with us for a few years, about 80 odd years ago. It's not his fault. It's the fault of the great British press and the world press. Be yourself, make your own decisions. Don't be a fool and don't be easily guided. Because that is why I don't want to live in a town or a city, in a metropolis, because of what the great British press have done to this country. Is that all I'm going to say? Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Anyway, I'm back. Like I said, they're outside because there's a shower. I've got bike stuff. I've bought a bike trailer. I might make a video on that. Because I haven't got a car, and I'm not going to have a car. I might hire a car next week, actually, for a few days. But I'm certainly determined not to have a car anyway. E-bikes. I'm going to do something about e-bikes, because two of my e-bikes have got ding, 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 ding on them. And throttles. I've actually disconnected one on the other one. Again, this is something that the great British press are pursuing. Good, bad, I don't know, indifferent. It's, you see all the stuff on social media, and one of these gets arrested, gets knocked off or something, and everyone cheers and says fantastic. See someone get knocked off a bike by a police car and you cheer saying fantastic. I don't get it. Right, so I think the next one will be on the bike trailer, and I'll talk about Bromptons as well. Don't know what they're doing. I'm sure they know what they're doing. But that's going to be a long story that unfolds. Catch you again. Don't forget, don't edit my video.